Zelaria smoothed her tentacles nervously as she boarded the human ship. As a female Krylaxian, her biological clock was ticking louder with each cycle. Her parents were constantly nagging her to find a suitable mate and start procreating before her fertility window closed. But Zelaria had bigger plans. She had to find her father first, who had gone missing years ago on a deep space expedition. This mission aboard the human vessel was her last chance to pick up his trail before it went cold forever. If she could just locate him, maybe she could finally appease her parents, and they would get off her back about mating. The 200 human Marines eyeballed her as she slithered down the corridor toward the bridge. She tried not to think about how attractive and muscular they looked in their tight uniforms. Interspecies mating was still taboo on her home planet, despite their races being physically compatible. On the bridge, Zelaria locked eyes with Lieutenant Commander Carson. She felt her heart quicken as she took in his chiseled features and confident stance. "Stop it," she scolded herself. "You're just here to find father." "Welcome aboard, Officer Zelaria," Carson said smoothly. "We're charting a course that will take us right through the quadrant where your father went missing. With any luck, we'll pick up some leads." Zelaria felt a swell of hope. "Thank you, Lieutenant. This means everything to me." Over the next few days, Zelaria and Carson worked closely together on the mission, going over star charts and reconnaissance data late into the night cycles. She couldn't help but notice the way his eyes lingered on her, the way his fingers brushed against hers a bit too long when passing data pads. "Is he attracted to me?" she wondered. "But that's impossible. He's a human." Then one night Carson made his move. "Zelaria, I can't stop thinking about you. Your beauty and strength captivate me utterly." He took her hands in his and she felt her body thrill at his touch. "I know this is unorthodox, but I'm willing to become your mate if you'll have me. Let me take you away from this ship, this mission, to a secret tropical planet where we can be alone together." Zelaria's heart pounded. She wanted him. Oh, how she wanted him. But her mission, her father, her parents. I can't," she finally said, pulling away. "Not until I've found my father and made my parents understand." Carson nodded solemnly. "I understand. Then let's complete this mission and put all our efforts into locating your father. After that," he cupped her cheek tenderly, "we'll see what the future holds for us." Zelaria felt a shiver run through her body at Carson's gentle touch. She wanted nothing more than to give in to her desires and let this human male whisk her away to a secret paradise. But she knew she had to stay focused on finding her father first. Over the next few weeks, they tracked down every possible lead, following even the faintest signatures that might point to her father's whereabouts. Zelaria was impressed by Carson's dedication and perseverance. Despite the growing tension and attraction between them, he remained professional and committed to the mission. Finally, they got a major break. A derelict ship matching her father's vessel was detected drifting in a remote nebula. Zelaria's hearts raced as they brought it into the landing bay. She rushed over to the battered hull, running her tentacles along the familiar markings. "Father," she cried out, "can you hear me? It's Zelaria." A faint thumping came from inside the ship. Zelaria felt lightheaded with relief and joy as the hatch cracked open and a weary, disheveled Krylaxian emerged. "Zelaria, my dearest child." Her father pulled her into a tight embrace with his tentacles. "I can't believe you found me after all this time." Zelaria sobbed with happiness, clinging to her father. Finally, after all her efforts, she had succeeded. She had found him and could return home, finally putting her parents' worries to rest. Carson approached and put a hand on her shoulder. "Your father is a tough old scientist to have survived so long alone like that. You should be proud." She gazed at the human male with newfound adoration and longing. "Thank you, Carson, for everything." Her father's eyes narrowed shrewdly. "And just who is this dashing young male, my daughter?" Zelaria felt her body flush with warmth. "Someone Very special, Father. If you'll allow me to explain. Over the next few days as they made the journey back to her home planet, Zelaria filled her father in on how Carson had aided and supported her mission. She also confessed her growing feelings for the human, her desire to take him as her mate despite the taboo against interspecies mating. To her relief and surprise, her father was open-minded and accepting. In all my years drifting alone, I realized that life is too short and precious to be bound by outdated prejudices. If this human male has proven himself worthy and your hearts are united, then I will give you both my blessing. Tears of joy sprang to Zelaria's eyes as she embraced her father tightly. With his approval and her mission finally completed, she was free to pursue the path her heart longed for, a new future, with Carson by her side. Zelaria's father chuckled and gave her an approving look. You know, my dear, in a way I've already completed my own mission as well. Carson raised an eyebrow. Your mission, sir? Why, yes, young man. The older Krillaxian puffed out his chest proudly. With my wife's full blessing, of course. You see, I've spent the last few decades traveling the galaxy, spreading my seed far and wide to ensure the continuation of our species. Zelaria felt her face flush a deep purple as Carson's eyes widened in shock. Clearly, this was not something the human male was expecting to hear. Her father, oblivious, continued on enthusiastically. The Krillaxian birth rate has been in decline for centuries, so a few dedicated pioneers like myself have taken it upon ourselves to distribute our genetic material across multiple fertile worlds, ensuring a diverse array of offspring to keep our species thriving, if you will. An admirable quest. Don't you agree? I suppose so, Carson said slowly, looking distinctly uncomfortable. I was just about to regale you with some of my most entertaining conquest stories, Zelaria's father began cheerfully. Like the time I had to inseminate a whole tribe of fertile females on Xylaria 9 while fending off their irate male mates with just a sonic screwdriver and my wits. Now there was a delicate operation if I ever... You know what? Maybe we should just get you dropped off at the nearest spaceport, Carson interrupted, his face reddening. He turned away abruptly, muttering something about strange alien customs. Xylaria sidled up to her father, giving him an apologetic look. Perhaps it's best if we don't share those tales with Carson just yet. Human males can be a bit sensitive about certain topics. Her father shrugged, unconcerned. Suit yourself, my dear. Just remember, when the time comes for you to uphold our noble reproductive traditions, I'll be happy to pass on all my hard-earned wisdom. Zelaria cringed inwardly, making a mental note to have a long talk with Carson about human and Krillaxian mating expectations and customs. She loved her father dearly, but he certainly had a way of overcomplicating and oversharing things. For now, she was content to get him settled at the nearest port of call, collect her thoughts, and focus on figuring out where this new relationship with the handsome human lieutenant was headed next. One awkward conversation at a time. I am glad I didn't get an ear full of what your dad was about to say. Carson breathing a sigh of relief, thinking to himself, not the best way to be introduced to the in-laws. Zelaria's face had a slight smirk upon her lips. Well, just you wait till you meet my mother. She has some wild stories for you. Zelaria grinning ear to ear, knowing she was playing with Carson. Carson hesitated for a moment before speaking. Ha, I knew you were pulling my leg with that one. Going to have to keep my eye on you. Yeah, right, you hesitated, ha ha ha. Got you real good. The pair sat on the beach overlooking the twin setting suns in front of the beach hut, which looked more like a big treehouse on their new holiday planet home. Well, who knows? Maybe it could be a real home. Carson looking towards the camera filming winking, as if to say it was his actual home. The end, cut, yelled the director. That's a wrap, well done, everyone. You can take off that squid suit, Sarah, you must be boiling in that. Thanks for listening to the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe.